And we welcome you into the Tuesday, May the 24th edition of the Bottom Line Lexington podcast. It's decision day for UK basketball. Both Marcus Lee and Isaiah Briscoe have until tomorrow to decide if they're going to stay in the NBA draft, in which they won't even be drafted, or come back and play at Kentucky. And on this podcast, we have detailed the many, many reasons why both players should come back to Kentucky, regardless of what they think their self-worth is right now. So, the Big Blue Nation playing the waiting game on two players. Will these players even start next year? Who knows? Probably not. But it's still in their best interest to come back to school, because unless you want to ride buses in the D-League, you already know your fate next year. Why not come back? Bottom line, it's in these kids' best interest to go back to Kentucky. Whether they do or not, who knows at this point. But the numbers say they have no chance in the NBA in their current status. Scheduling news. That Big 12 SEC Challenge will have year 2 next year, and Kansas will return the favor to the Big Blue Nation and visit Lexington next year, just as UK played in Lawrence, Kansas last year. Let's see. Kentucky will be higher ranked next year, allegedly have more talent, better team. Kentucky will be at home, and Kentucky will have revenge. But knowing me, I'll take Kansas in the points. Mark Story, the Herald Leader, details the Dwayne Casey journey from his days as a player and an assistant at Kentucky to now coaching in the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. Can you see Joe B. Hall coaching in the NBA? No, I can't either. Here's all I want to know from Dwayne Casey. What really happened with that Emery package? How did that money mysteriously fall out of an envelope? Did somebody know to get into that envelope? How come that's the only package that was compromised in all this? I just find that whole process amazing. And then Dwayne Casey was given one of those 5-year show cause probations where he couldn't coach. Then Dwayne Casey wins a lawsuit against Emery for like $6.9 million. Who knows what happened? He had to go to Japan and coach. God bless him for where he's at now. But I would love one day just to hear him honestly talk about what happened with that Emery package and the money allegedly just falling out. That's the most mysterious thing ever. Since then, have any of you ever heard of a package, especially one that was like overnighted with tracking numbers and everything? Has anyone ever heard of a package where the contents just mysteriously fell out? That's unbelievable to me. Not taking up for Kentucky, not sliding them. I'm just making a statement. You don't hear about that very often. In fact, I haven't heard about it since this happened almost 30 years ago. Dwayne Casey, congratulations on where you've gotten, but I've still got questions about the Chris Mills envelope. Just as I started this podcast, I got an update on my phone. Nyquist, the Kentucky Derby winner, will be out of the Belmont. He will not run in the Belmont, and that means bad news for the horse racing industry, because there will be no fans interested now in a race, in a Triple Crown race in which the Kentucky Derby winner is not even going to be there. And B, NBC has got to be hating life right now, especially after record ratings last year for the Belmont. This year, nobody's going to watch that thing on television. They're going to have to bring on all the stops for this one just to get people to watch. So, bad news for horse racing. Nyquist out of the Belmont. I'll say this, I won't bet on Exaggerator to win it. If I told you last night that the Reds would get a complete game out of their starting pitcher, no trip to the bullpen at all, and that starting pitcher would only give up 1 run, how would you feel about the Reds' chances? Feel pretty good, huh? Well, what if I told you they're playing at Los Angeles and Clayton Kershaw's on the other side? You don't feel nearly as good now with that information, but that's exactly what happened last night. Reds get a complete game from Brandon Finnegan, but he goes up against Clayton Kershaw, who throws a 2-hitter and beats the Reds 1-0. You can talk all the Chris Sale, all the Jake Arrieta that you want. Clayton Kershaw is still the best pitcher in baseball with a much longer history of big-time success. Brandon Finnegan, complete game, 1 run. Best starting pitcher effort easily this year for the Reds. The first complete game by a Reds left-handed pitcher in 15 years. A guy by the name of Lance Davis. Yes, do you remember him? I don't either. Lance Davis in 2001 was the last lefty to pitch a complete game. Here's a stat I didn't know. What left-handed pitcher has started the most games for the Reds since that last complete game in 2001? Eric Milton, 66. Where's he at today? But Clayton Kershaw, still for my money, the best pitcher in baseball. He's first in all of Major League Baseball right now in wins above replacement. He's the best player in the league. And the thing is, the Dodgers came into this game with no bullpen. They had just played a 17-inning game the day before. Everybody in the bullpen was fried. What do? You get the best pitcher in baseball to throw a complete game. For the Reds now, their starting pitching is still a complete mess. Back in the 40s and 50s, the Braves had two great starting pitchers, Warren Spahn, Johnny Sain. But the other pitchers on the staff, not so good. But it's because these two were so good and the others were so bad. So they came up with a saying, Spahn and Sain and pray for rain. That would be their Braves rotation back in those days. I think for the Reds right now, you've got Finnegan and Straily and pray for rain daily. How's that? I'm going to have to copyright that. That's a patent right there. Finnegan and Straily and pray for rain daily. That's the status of the Reds' current starting rotation. Then again, first week of June, allegedly, Michael Lorenzen will be coming back. Tim Adelman will be coming back. Surely to goodness that means Alfredo Simon won't be back. And please don't call me Shirley. To run a guy out there with an over 10 ERA, does he have pictures on somebody? Reds and Dodgers will go at it again at Chavez Ravine tonight. Reds 8 losses in a row, 3-15 on the road. Daniel Wright making his first Major League start against the Dodgers, an even 500 on the year, 23 up, 23 down. Mike Bolsinger, 6.23, his second start of the year, but he's a proven commodity. ERA under 4 in 21 starts last year. Here's why it's advantageous to pick underdogs in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers are 23-23 this year. But if you had bet $1 on them every single game this season, you would be down $8.25. That's because the Dodgers are usually favored. When they lose more than $1 for you. That's why baseball is so advantageous to pick these underdogs. Dodgers today, minus 180. They're 9-10 as a home favorite this year. Is this a team I want to go on tonight? No way. I'm not laying 180 with anybody. So it's Reds or nobody. And we talked about this last week. Anytime a pitcher gets his first Major League start, the team will do anything in their power to get that kid a victory. The Reds will do everything tonight to try to get Daniel Wright a victory in his first Major League game. Does that mean it's going to happen? Not necessarily, but they'll pull out all the stops. So it's Reds or nobody tonight. I'll take nobody. But if you're going to take the Reds in any game in this series, this is the one to take them. NBA last night. Toronto wins, evens the series 2-2. LeBron plays 46 minutes last night. That's a lot. Kevin Love didn't even play in the fourth quarter. First thing they said after the game, he didn't sit out because he was injured, which means he's injured. He stepped on the foot of the referee. It was plain to see in a replay. So there you go. Deny. In Game 3, Dante Jones got suspended for hitting someone in the primal region. $80 fine. LeBron said he'd take care of that. I hope so. The guy's making $1 billion from Under Armour. Series heads back to Cleveland for Game 5. Shockingly tied 2-2. We'll see what happens. Best of 3 now. More NBA news. Bradley Beal of the Wizards, came out today and said he's a max player. He deserves a max contract. Well, let's look at the numbers. 4 years in the league, he's played more than 63 games one time. His player efficiency rating, 17.4 this year. That was 6th on his own team. So the optimal lineup for Washington does not include Bradley Beal. And this guy wants a max contract? The numbers say he's crazy. Football, the ESPN FPI has come out with their preseason list. Ole Miss ranked 7th in this rating system done by ESPN. They're ranked 7th in the preseason. But they also say that Ole Miss has 0 chance of making the college football playoff. How can you be 7th in a ranking, in a computer ranking, and have no percentage chance of making the playoff? Well, that SEC schedule, along with an opening day trip to Florida State, that might do it for you. Bad times ahead for Ole Miss, especially when the NCAA comes down with the hammer on Hugh Freeze. David Carr of the Raiders came out yesterday and said his teammate Khalil Mack will get 30 sacks this season. By the way, the record is 22.5 by Michael Strahan. Yes, that Michael Strahan from television. And by the way, the only way he got that last sack of those 22.5 is when Brett Favre literally ran around and let Strahan sack him to get the record. Go YouTube it. It's a joke. It's physically impossible to get over 22 sacks. A lot of people have tried. They can't do it. Ronnie Lott and Rodney Peete are trying to keep the Raiders in Oakland. Why? You're going to Vegas. Unbelievable. Lindsey Vonn, the skier and ex-girlfriend of Tiger Woods, is writing a tell-all book. About what? You've only got one thing people want to know about. Your relationship with Tiger Woods. You're a skier. Big whoop. Tell us about Tiger. Baseball news. Royals are trying to trade with the Braves for Nick Markakis. Nick Markakis has been batting cleanup for the Braves a majority of the last couple of seasons. In 875 plate appearances, he has 4 home runs. Hell of a cleanup hitter right there, ladies and gentlemen. No wonder the Braves have only won 12 games this year. They'll take magic beans for him at this point. Josh Hamilton, before the 2013 season, signed a 5-year, $113 million contract with the Angels. Came out yesterday. Now he's with the Rangers. It came out yesterday that he's going to miss the rest of the season with an injury. That means in the first 4 years of that 5-year contract, he's averaged 13 home runs, 49 RBIs, and a .255 average. The Angels wanted him out so bad, they gave him to Texas for magic beans. And oh, by the way, here's $47 million. Just take it out. Just take him off our hands, please. Josh Hamilton, hope you can count that money, bro. UCLA and Under Armour have signed the biggest shoe apparel contract in all of college sports. $280 million. I know Under Armour is trying to be a bigger player in the business, but $280 million should not go to UCLA. UCLA hasn't won a basketball championship since 1995, when Jim Herrick literally cheated his way to a national championship. By the way, you talk about pieces of work. Jim Herrick, piece of work. I remember him from his time at Georgia. Oh my God. Don't even get me started on that. Go Google Jim Herrick Jr. final exam. There's a joke for you, but that's another story for another day. UCLA getting $280 million. They don't win national championships anymore. The highest apparel deals before this was Ohio State, Texas, and Michigan. Those are blue bloods. Those are teams that compete. Ohio State wins championships. Michigan, it's been a while, but they still have won championships. Texas has their own network. But UCLA, they're not even the most recognizable program in their own city. USC football gets more attention than UCLA basketball and football. That's a lot of money when you compare it to the rest of the schools. I hope Under Armour knows what they're doing, because to me, they overspent for this one. The late Tony Gwynn, his family, is now suing the entire tobacco industry because Tony Gwynn got addicted to smokeless tobacco, which caused the cancer that killed him at the age of 54. This is a slippery slope right here. I know that the tobacco companies and the tobacco industry, they want people to get addicted to their drugs. They want people to get addicted to their products. But at the same time, it's the person's choice. Nobody told Tony Gwynn to go out and start dipping. And as cruel as that sounds, I don't think they have a case. Tony Gwynn was a great player, and for what I know, a great man, but his family should just let it lie. Mac Daddy Stogie time. We have 2 games tonight. We had 2 last night. We split them, but since we're taking underdogs, we made a little small profit. So that's what we look at. Every day you make a profit, it's a good day here on the bottom line. 2 games tonight. We will go to the NBA. Golden State, Oklahoma City. Golden State, 1.5-point favorite. Draymond Green will play. He gets fined $25,000, but he will play. The ultimate zigzag theory play tonight. Golden State evens this series up at 2, and then they go back to Oakland. By the way, last year, Golden State was down 2-1 in this round to Memphis, playing Game 4 on the road. They won that game big and went on to win the NBA championship. Here's your spot. I know Oklahoma City's better than Memphis of last year, but still, down 2-1 is not down 3-1. OKC still has a shot here. They win tonight, and we go back to Oakland tied at 2. Baseball, Angels, Rangers. In Arlington, Texas, a -120, which means the Angels are +110. I've got Ulyss Chacin for the Angels, 5.21 ERA against Martin Perez for the Rangers, 3.48. Chacin just came over from the Braves. He has no record since joining the Angels, but when he pitches, his team 2-0. Angels 7-3 in their last 10, 10-6 as a dog on the road. This is a spot for the Angels. I get a good pitcher in a great spot for the team. Give me the Angels +110, small dog, in Arlington over the Rangers. And that's it for the Tuesday, May the 24th edition of the Bottom Line Lexington podcast. Thank you, as always, so much for listening. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at BottomLineLex. Send us an email, bottomlinelex@gmail.com. And please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks again, and until next time, may the winners be yours.